Okay. Hey everyone. Hey guys, Demigod, Ezekiel. Hey Eric, how you doing guys? Hey everyone. I'm doing good. How you guys doing? Happy Friday, best day of the week, right? Happy Friday, everyone. Hey bro, good stream, man, and stay awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, man. Thank you for sponsoring my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you, dude. Well, I'm gonna give the game a try when it comes out. You know, the new Modern Warfare 4. I am looking forward to it. I think it could be good, but I'll also, you know, say my thoughts on the game when it, you know, comes out. Do you think Moz Blender will make an appearance in GTA 6? No, because that's the 3D universe. How are you feeling today? I'm feeling good. How are you? I think, you know what I think we might do? The next April Fool's video we do, we might do a video what happened to Michael's boat. That's what we might do. GTA 5 lore explained. No, I haven't, Mr. Green. Yeah, there's some kind of connection between Makarov and North Korea in Modern Warfare 4, but it hasn't been fully explained. Okay, these guys are 6, so they should be easy to spot then, a big group like that. Can you explain what government proxies are, Patrick? Yes. So, I think I found them all. Yep, I did.
Hey, get yourself gone from here.
Give me just 1 second, Suppressor. I'll answer your question. Hold on.
The hell? You're gonna be. I'm gonna be the one that puts you in the ground. Oh, hell. You're gonna pay for this.
Oh, crap.
Oh my God! Come on. Moving on.
Makarov will be in Modern Warfare 4.
Hey, there they are. What is this? You must be coming to new time me up. Oh, you don't want to be tying me up. Big mistake.
Okay, everyone take one. Okay, so to answer your question about what government proxies are, QC Suppressor, what a government proxy basically is, it's a force outside of the country that another country will support and fund. And sometimes proxies are kind of strange because sometimes proxies are like a completely more of like an independent force, but other times proxies are forces that were created by governments. So like, you know, a perfect example of like an American proxy would be like the FSA that was in Syria, the Free Syrian Army. Like it was an army of rebels that was mostly funded by the US and like the CIA to fight against the Assad regime in Syria. That's like an example of, you know, American proxies. But like an example of like, for example, like Russian proxies, I would think about like some of the governments in like Africa, for example, like Mali or Chad. There are like regimes and militias in Africa that like Russia backs. So like those could be like an example of like Russian proxies, for example. The Houthis, for example, in Yemen are like an example of Iranian proxies. Like Iran has funded the Houthis in Yemen for a long time, but at the same time is the Saudis also fund the other side in the Yemen civil war. The people that fight against the Houthis, I forget that faction's name, but those guys are Saudi proxies. So basically, proxies are basically like forces outside of their country that governments will basically fund to fight against another country. So they will support other, you know, other groups to fight against countries when they don't want to fight them directly. That's basically it. So, like, Russia could not fight against America directly in Africa, so what they did was they supported, like, coups in these countries to, like, overthrow the governments and kick the American, you know, troops out. The U.S. couldn't fight against Russia directly in Syria, so they funded the FSA. So, like, that was it. Like, you know, the Vietnam War is an example of one also. Like, the United States funded, and, you know, South Vietnam, which was kind of their proxy and their ally, but then the Soviet Union and China also funded North Vietnam, which was their proxy and ally. So both South Vietnam and North Vietnam were really proxies when you think about it, too. So that was that. But, don't forget Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic. Yeah, that's an example of a Russian proxy as well. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yes, that is. The LPR and the DPR are definitely Russian proxies too. But you know, the most confusing proxy war I think in history is probably the Angolan civil war. Like that, the Angolan Civil War was such a confusing conflict because it was like a proxy war and a proxy war. Basically, it was Angola was like a Portuguese colony, and there was two factions that were fighting against the two main factions that were fighting against the Portuguese. UNITA, which UNITA was like more of like a right-wing, like nationalist Republican faction. They wanted like a republic government in Angola, and that was led by Jonas Savimbi. But then you had MPLA, which were basically communists that wanted to overthrow the Portuguese, and they were funded by the Soviets. But then at the same time is you had South Africa, which entered the war, and they invaded through Namibia. And then at the same time is you had Cuba, who was a proxy of the Soviet Union, invaded Angola to help the MPLA. So you had multiple proxies in the war helping other proxies. So that's why Angolan Civil War is so confusing, because you had so many sides, so many factions, the South Africans, the Portuguese, at the start of the war at least. You had the UNITA, MPLA, the Cubans. It was just like a messy conflict. It was like such a mess. And Chevron, how could I forget Chevron? Yes, so the MPLA were really they were proxies for Chevron. Yes, isn't that kind of funny that you know an American gasoline company funded communists in Angola? Like literally, they funded communist rebels because the communists were selling gas to them. Just imagine that. That's so like the communists were making money selling gas to an American, you know, an American gasoline company to fund their communist revolution in Angola. Like how ironic is that? But the MPLA won't tell you that in their history textbooks in Angola, and the Cubans definitely won't tell you in their history textbooks that they protected American oil fields too. They definitely won't tell you that too. So it's like communists protecting American oil companies. How ironic. What do you think the ending of GTA 6 will be? The ending of GTA 6 will probably have like one canon ending, but it will probably have like multiple non-canon endings like you had with GTA 5. I don't know if it will necessarily be like kill Jason or kill Lucia, but it will it will be like you'll have multiple choices, but there will be like one choice that's kind of like the obvious canon choice. That's at least how I think it is, because like when we all played GTA 5, we knew that Ending C was a canon ending. Like, everybody knew that was the canon ending. Even if Rockstar didn't announce it until GTA Online, we all knew that was the canon ending. And, like, when it comes to GTA 4, there's a little bit more of a debate on what the canon ending is, but it's kind of more obvious that the canon ending is the revenge ending in GTA 4, because it doesn't make sense why Nico would ever work with Dimitri again, so this just makes no sense. So the canon ending is really the revenge ending in GTA 4. Thank you for that, I'm Runity for that super chat, and thank you, Jake Hunter. Hey, Pro, Infinity Ward just revealed and spoiled that Vladimir Makarov dies. Well, I do know a little about that. I know the developer said that directly, but And like we'll be talking a little bit of the spoilers here because I didn't want to talk about that on my video the Modern Warfare 4 reveal, but yes, the developer did reveal that on there. I'm gonna talk a little bit of the Modern Warfare 4 spoilers. So if nobody wants to hear it, I suggest you click off right now. I don't want to ruin the story for anybody. So I warned everybody, about to say it right now. The developer basically revealed that in the second mission for Modern Warfare 4, you know that scene when Captain Price goes into New York City and he's he basically chases somebody, fights a bunch of people in the club, and then he beats somebody in an alley to death. The person that he was beating to death was Makarov. So Makarov apparently dies in like the second mission in Modern Warfare 4. And the reason that I think the developers leaked that, the reason I think the developers said that Makarov dies at the start of the game, is because they don't want Modern Warfare 4 connected to Modern Warfare 3 in any way, as little as possible. So there is going to be some connection because you're going to have, like, it's the same universe. You still have, like, the same characters. You're going to have those. But you're not gonna, the reason that they got rid of Makarov so early on in the storyline is because they want to show you this is a whole brand new storyline. It's not as bad as Modern Warfare 3. We're taking this into a whole new direction. That's basically what they did. That's the whole, backstory on that. But I think I think it's actually good that they killed him off at the start of the game. I think that is good. Because like Makarov was such a terribly written character in it. It was my birthday on the 26th. Rob Whitetoff gave me a birthday shout out on his stream. I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, happy late birthday though, Snowy Imp. Everyone wish Snowy Imp a happy birthday. And what, Ricky, are you still here? One second here. Okay, here we go. Daniel Lamb's birthday? Well, the Manhunt 2 guy, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing my stream. Thank you, dude. What are some of the most evil things the FSB has done? Well, the FSB, the FSB is likely played a role in like the coups in Africa. So like you know those coups that happen in all those African countries. Like it was not a coincidence that all those countries were having coups all at the exact same time. That was not a coincidence. That was coordinated, and that was done a lot by Russia. Now Wagner, the Wagner group, the Russian mercenaries, they were involved in that a lot in those coups, but there's also a possibility the FSB was also heavily involved in that. The FSB are known for their assassinations. So that's what the FSB are known for. The FSB are like cold-blooded killers. Like those guys are ruthless. The thing about it is, if you ever like read those articles in like Russia that like somebody, like some top Russian businessman dies in like some accidental death or something like that, and then all of a sudden it just starts happening, all these Russian businessmen just start dying in strange ways, it's the FSB that's doing that. There's no doubt about that. It's the FSB that's doing that. The CIA does their assassinations too, don't get me wrong, but I don't think a lot of people realize just how effective the FSB is at their assassinations. Like the FSB, they kill a lot of people and they never get caught. The only villain I want to see return is Khaled. You mean Khaled al-Assad, Assassin Wolf? And thank you, I'm Runity. What do I think Red Dead 3 will be about? I mean, I would like to see either a brand new story. I mean, I can do them, Saucer Cats. If you want to join us, I can do them. I don't really do them a lot, but I can do them if you join us.
have some
I
ideas.
think Red Dead 3 is either going to be a brand new storyline or it's going to follow Jack. I don't want to see the like another prequel.
There are things you could do to lower the price, huh? C'est agréable. Now we wait. Good news. We have some new clients, I see.
Joke of the day: Milena from Modern Warfare 2023 hunts down and kills Captain Price of a golf club to avenge Makarov in Modern Warfare 4. That's a reference from Last of Us. Last of Us. But you know, I made like a joke where you know in Modern Warfare 2019, you know that guy that has like the suicide bomb vest on him, and then like Captain Price just like pushes him over the rail like that hostage, and he just blows up. That was like what I literally I told people that the plot in Modern Warfare 3 was going to be that guy's daughter was going to kill Captain Price of a golf club, and then you were going to play as her for half the story. And a lot of people thought I was being serious, but no, that was I was joking about that. Thank you, Isaiah, for the super chat. Besides, North Korean generals have ridiculous medals. Why did Hitler only had nice Iron Cross from World War One? Hitler did get the Iron Cross in World War One. Hitler was a corporal. He was a courier. He was delivering letters between trenches, and he went through like no man's land, which is the land in between trenches, to deliver letters, and that's what he got the Iron Cross for. But the Iron Cross, like, there's a few different variations of it. I know there's the one with the oak leaves. Like, the oak leaves one is like the most valuable one. Like, that's like the biggest one out there. But like there was like German generals that had multiple Iron Crosses where they would like wear it on their neck. They would wear it on their side also. So like the Iron Cross was almost like a you know, it was basically like a how would I say it, almost like a cult-like thing in a way too. I don't know what the picture is, April, but I see your name. He's not, Makarov's not running off to the back door this time. Maybe he tried to run out the back door, but Captain Price got him this time, Mr. Green. Which game will I play on June 6th? Brothers in Arms, Earned in Blood. Mike Torino, Bobby. I did, Mario. We'll be doing Brothers in Arms after we finish 007. I wouldn't worry about that, Liskip. Most of the time they're going after some top people, so I wouldn't worry about that. Am I gonna play Hell Let Loose? I'll play Hell Let Loose Vietnam when that comes out, definitely. I'm really enjoying your 007 playthrough, Pro. Thank you. Next day will be your next day will be birthday stream. Your birthday, Minion Dave? Or are you talking about my birthday? Because my birthday's next week. Or my birthday is my birthday's on the 7th. Is that next week? My birthday is next Sunday. Okay. Thank you, Isaiah, for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. Hi, Pro. Good evening. How you doing? I'm doing good, Daniel. How are you, man? My favorite James Bond, Sean Connery. Ortega's tearing up the country, Gunner. I love your content. Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know. Kadyrov is a psycho. I got a friend of mine who's his parents are from Chechnya, and he's told me horror stories about the like the puppet government in Chechnya and like the like Kadyrov's like a real psycho. Like he is like that. No, I think the war is gonna be with Russia in the end in like Modern Warfare 5. Like Modern Warfare 4 is gonna focus entirely on the Korean conflict, but Modern Warfare 5 is probably gonna be a war for Russia. Hey Pro, good day. I'm enjoying a 007 game. Lots of dialogues though, not like Hitman by the way. When will I play the Warriors? I still gotta play that before GTA 6 comes out. It's on my list. I will play it before GTA 6 comes out. Thank you, Change Significant, for sponsoring my channel for over 3 years. What do you think of Admiral Zhao? I think he's an idiot. He was really arrogant, narcissistic. If he would have taken Zuko's hand, he would have survived. Did I know that Kim Jong-un went to university in Switzerland? Yes, I do know that, yes. All GTA 6 clickbaiters should be uninvited. Uninvited from what, Mario? But what do you mean, my birthday? But, I'm gonna still make that video on the, on GTA, how to stop the GTA clickbait. I'm gonna still make a video on that. It'll be a good one when I put that out. Imagine Devin Weston returns in GTA 6 and says, well, I wasn't in that trunk. Somehow Devin Weston returns. Oh, yeah, like what Graves said, I wasn't in that tank in Modern Warfare 2. And then the somehow Devin Weston has returned. That's the reference to Star Wars. I know somehow Palpatine has returned. Porsche has committed war crimes. What, the car manufacturer? Well, Porsche was an Italian company.
Clear out, damn it. I'm telling you. Hey, wait, here there is. I will enjoy killing you. ¿Qué está pasando?
The next GTA lore video is about, it's going to be about, the Nong boys in GTA San Andreas. It's about them. No, I haven't, Chase. I haven't heard about him. Do I think there'll be Modern Warfare 5, or do you think Modern Warfare 4 is the last one? No, there will be a Modern Warfare 5. There's definitely gonna be a fifth one. I just really hope we don't get Modern Warfare 5 next year. Like, cause I don't want another Modern Warfare 3 situation where it's rushed after a year. You know, one thing that really scares me about Modern Warfare 4, the developers wouldn't say that there's no combat missions. Open combat missions. No, I'm not done with GTA 4 lore videos. I'm still gonna make them, Jafar. I'm still gonna make those, so don't worry about them. Oh, thank you, Aiden, for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. No, I barely did, Adrian. I watched the original Avatar. Pat, Porsche is German, not Italian. Oh, okay. Ferrari is Italian. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then I made my mistake on that. Did you know that a Swiss man named Jonas Lawwinner has declared himself the king of Switzerland, had a coronation ceremony, and has amassed 117,000 square meters of land? What? No, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. I don't think Switzerland has ever had a king in their history, have they? I don't think they ever have. Veteran is difficult, he's not fun to play on. Yes, I agree with you, Minion Dave. I did not know that Bayer has that connection, Milk. That's horrible. No, I never really changed my character's appearance rather down the line. Wait, that was Valeria that was in that trailer, James? I know that Valeria is Mexican, but that was Valeria that was in that? That I thought that was the French operator, because that was in Paris. But, like, that looks nothing like Valeria. Like, okay, man, they really changed her face then. Okay, okay, Mario. For some reason, the first part of 007 does not appear. Is that because of copyright music? Yes, unfortunately. It was blocked in Belarus and Russia. Those were the two countries blocked in. And I didn't want to cut the music out because it would look stupid if the music was cut out. That Valeria looks so different then. Don't worry, guys. Makarov will return in Season 2 of Modern Warfare 4. Somehow Makarov is returned. Oh, I wasn't under Price's fist. Oh, man. Oh, no. That's... Yeah. How are you so smart in history? Well, I appreciate you thinking that I was smart. But I just like to read a lot. I like to watch documentaries, watch a lot and stuff like that. A lot of times, here's what I'm doing is, a lot of times when I'm going to sleep, guys, when I go to sleep a lot of times, I actually just watch World War II documentaries to fall asleep to. Like, that's like what I watch a lot of times. I was actually watching a lot of stuff recently on the Aleutian Islands campaign in World War II in Alaska. Well, apparently they have some kind of mutual interest. That's why Valeria is helping Captain Price. No, I've never played them, Jolly. Why do you think it took America so long to join World War I and World War II? Well, World War I, America joined, 3 years after it started. But the reason that it took so long for America to join is because America wasn't attacked, and the thing is most Americans saw like World War One as a European conflict. Like me personally, if I was president, we would have never gotten involved in World War One. I think it was a mistake to get involved in World War One. It was like 115,000 Americans died, and for what exactly? For a bunch of European empires to basically get more land. That's what they did. I mean, like France and Britain, they benefited so much from like the end of World War One. They got so much land and colonies. They looted other countries, and like America basically just fought for a bunch of these empires. That's essentially what happened. And Germany was really the same thing, but it was like I don't think they should have ever gotten involved in World War One. Now World War Two was a bit different, where World War Two, the United States had been directly attacked by like the Empire of Japan, and that was like that's why we got involved in the war. If we had not been attacked by the Empire of Japan, chances are it might have taken us pretty long to get involved in the war. Why did the Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS have so many foreign divisions expanding from Middle East to Asia? Well, a lot of those foreign divisions that they had, they didn't have those foreign divisions until 1943. So like most of those foreign divisions didn't start popping up until 43, and the reason for that was because the Hitler was so against like using foreigners in the German army. Like he did not want non-Germans to be in the German army at all. And it wasn't until like the Germany lost the Battle of Stalingrad in like February 1943, they started getting desperate and they started like bringing in a lot of these guys into the Wehrmacht and even the SS. Like for example, like if you guys remember, like a couple years ago, there was a incident that happened in Canada's Parliament where the Canadian Parliament had invited this guy, and they said that the guy was like a Ukrainian freedom fighter, but he was actually an SS member. He was a member of the Galician SS, which the Galician SS had a few different nationalities in it, but it was mostly Ukrainians that were in that unit, and that unit did some pretty disturbing things. They committed some war crimes. They did some pretty horrific things. But there was a lot of different, foreign units in the German army and the SS. A lot of different units. Thank you, Dead Blood, for the super chat. Was John Gotti a good boss? Why didn't he get whacked for whacking Big Paul Castellano? He broke a huge rule in La Cosa Nostra. The thing about that is, he killed his boss because his boss would not let him deal drugs, and Gotti wanted to deal drugs. Now, yes, he basically violated a huge role of he basically violated the whole tenets of the mafia and the oath. But most mafia guys, they really don't care about their oath and everything like that. But the thing about that is that John Gotti, his second in command, was killed. So his second in command was killed in a car bombing. That was that's what happened. I forget the dude's name, but he got blown up in a car, and that's like one of the last car bombings that happened from the mafia, at least in America. Because car bombings went on even into like the early 2000s in Sicily, in Italy. But in America, I think like the last Italian car bombing, I think, was like in the 1990s.
To get me that boat. They got some over by window.
But when Gotti killed Castellano, like most people knew that he did it. It was kind of obvious. There wasn't like 100% proof, but most people knew he did it. And like most people were scared to question him about that. My mom was on Poland right now. What do you mean your mom was visiting Poland, Aaron? Frank, this is so. Yes, that's him. What do you think would have happened to those foreign divisions if Germany won the war? Probably killed. The thing about that is that a lot of these idiots who served in the German army that weren't Germans, they don't realize that Germany would have killed them all after the war if they had won. So that's like a lot of really dumb people in these units, and the thing is for example, like you had like a lot of like Ukrainians and Belarusians that like served in the German army, and I understand why they were pissed off at the Soviets for like oppressing their people, but at the same time is the Nazis basically believed that all Slavs were inferior. Like the Nazis believed that the Slavic people were inferior to German Aryans. Like that was their core belief. They thought that they did not think that Slavics were white. They thought that the Slavs were basically like people from Central Asia that came into Eastern Europe, and they think that land is not actually theirs. That's how the Nazis saw Slavs. They saw them as inferior, and they were planning on enslaving them, killing them, deporting a lot of them past the Urals. So like a lot of these these Slavic members of like the German army, these guys were idiots that served in the German military. Can you look back to the River Aras, Chop Sway Pro? Wait, back to the River Aras? What are you talking about, QC Suppressor? They were Bandera. Yeah, a lot of these Ukrainian nationalists were Bandera supporters. Which Bandera was a criminal. You know, he was a mass murderer. He was a pretty evil guy. Is that a war crime to force POWs into the German army? Well, forcing prisoners into any kind of military would be, yes, a war crime. However, though, is that the vast majority of like the foreigners that were in the German army were volunteers. A lot of them were. V-type professional. Hey, Zur. Thank you. I understand what you say. You're saying, hey, what's up? Hello. Was World War I or World War II more damaging worldwide? Well, it's like this. World War II caused more deaths and more destruction overall, but World War I is basically what had caused World War II to happen. And not only did it cause World War II to happen, World War I has such a huge catalyst on human history that it caused World War II to happen. It caused the Russian Revolution, which led to the creation of the Soviet Union, which that caused so many problems. So then, like, everything that the Soviets did afterwards could be as a result of World War I, because they were created as a result of World War I. So, like, literally is, the World War I gave to the rise of Nazi Germany, it gave to the rise of Fascist Italy, it gave to the rise of the Soviet Union. So World War I would say, is just, so many, that war is just, like, literally just a giant bomb that, like, just spread around into so many different pieces and caused so many different conflicts to happen.
What the hell?
No, I didn't know him, Gunner. Well, I wouldn't, though, Liskiff. My mom was visiting Poland near Warsaw with a friend. Oh, did she like it? Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. There, probably explain it. Let me see, QC. So it's because one of the songs related to the Armenian genocide. Oh, I never heard of that song, QC Suppressor. I do know a lot about the Armenian genocide, but I don't know about that song that you mentioned. Well, yeah, it was called the Great War and the War to End All Wars, but yeah, it didn't happen. Well, thank you, Daniel, for the super chat, but look, what I will say about to answer your question, Daniel, what I will say about it is, that if you look at, like, if you just look at, like, political extremism in general, like, and, like, the two best examples of, like, political extremism is you have neo-Nazis and communists, who are both very extreme people, very bad people. If you look at like the people that are neo-Nazis and the people that are communists, it's almost always the exact same thing. Who are the neo-Nazis? Who are the communists? It's always people in their early 20s. It's always young people in their early 20s, and usually these groups these groups skyrocket in numbers during really bad economic times. Like when there's something really bad going on, like, you know, bad recession and depression, stuff like that, like these guys, like, they tend to get much more popular because people turn to extremists when they're desperate. That's basically what happens. And a lot of times, the reason that these neo-Nazis and these communists are so young is because the people that are like neo-Nazis and people that are communists, these people really usually have no direction in life. They usually have something bad that happened in their life. Maybe they don't have like a family. Maybe they don't have like a parent, or maybe they have like a parent that's abusing them. Maybe they don't have any friends in real life. And what these people tend to do is they tend to go online and they go on like social media, they go on like Instagram and all that other garbage, and then they look up like this far right and this far left propaganda, and they basically get sucked into it. And that's pretty much what basically happens. Is that's how people end up becoming extremists. That's how that whole thing happens. Is, you know, they really don't have any friends, they feel like outcasts, and then they start looking up this stuff, and then they meet these people that have like these extreme views. They think these people are their friends, and then they basically start getting brainwashed and believing in that stuff. I think that's season 5, isn't that, Minion Dave? Professional is a gangsta. You're not afraid to call out the BS no matter how unpopular opinion may be. You stand 10 toes down. Thank you, Praise the Dawn. Thanks, man. Would you be like to be a script doctor for my series? What do you mean by script doctor? You mean somebody that like edits stuff? I could help you when I have time, yeah. I could do that, DL Gaming. Can you share a few historical stories during the 1930s Prohibition? I, for one, really liked the firearms at that time by the Dillinger Gang's arsenal. Well, this isn't in reference to the Dillinger Gang, but if you know Bonnie and Clyde, Clyde's signature gun was the BAR, the Browning automatic rifle, and what he did was he created his own extended magazine. So, Clyde had created a BAR magazine that holds 40 rounds. Like, he made his own custom BAR magazine that holds 40 rounds. So, the standard, you know, magazine for a Browning automatic rifle was 20 rounds, but Clyde had 40 in his gun. So that was, he also shortened the barrel, too. Clyde did shorten the barrel in his BAR. That was, what he did. But also, guys, here's something crazy that I'll tell you. For anybody who's a gun guy here in chat, if you're a gun guy, you know what the NFA is, the National Firearms Act. The National Firearms Act pretty much outlawed automatic weapons. Here's what a lot of people don't know. The NFA was basically passed under a lie. Like, the whole act was lied upon. Because, the reason that the NFA was passed, it was passed in retaliation against John Dillinger. So, John Dillinger and his gang used Tommy guns and double-barreled shotguns, and the Tommy guns they were carrying were automatic. And so that was, it was used against John Dillinger. The government was saying, oh, you know, John Dillinger's out of control. We need to ban automatic weapons. And it was also used against Bonnie and Clyde. And, you know, Clyde, for example, used the Browning automatic rifle. His was the same. His was not semi, it was automatic. And so the government was passing the NFA as a reaction to that. But here's what people don't know. Bonnie and Clyde and John Dillinger and his gang did not get their guns from gun stores. They didn't even get them from civilians. You know where they got them? They stole them from the government. So John Dillinger and his gang, what they would do is they would rob Midwestern police stations, like in small towns. And the reason that they did that is because these small Midwestern police stations, they maybe had like a few cops on duty at most, and they did not expect somebody to raid their armory. And so their armories would have like a few Tommy guns in them. And so that's what they did. They would come in with just handguns or knives, and then they would rob these police stations of their
Someone there?
they would rob these police stations of their Tommy guns. So that's how John Dillinger got his guns. He didn't get it from a gun store. He robbed police station armories for that. So it was the police station, the police's own incompetence. Now, as for Bonnie and Clyde did not get their guns from a gun store either. They got their guns actually robbing a National Guard depot. That is how Bonnie and Clyde got their guns. They snuck into a National Guard depot, they tied up the soldiers, and they actually robbed their armory. That's how Clyde, for example, got the Browning automatic rifle. That was not a gun that you really sold in the store in that time period in the 1930s. So basically about that is that the government passed the NFA to basically say, oh, look, we're doing something about it, we're banning automatic weapons, when it was really to cover up their own incompetence, because they got their guns from the government. That's pretty much what it was about. So they blamed civilians for those shootings, when Bonnie and Clyde and John Dillinger had actually gotten their guns from the government. I still, what is it? I still hate how they killed off Soap in Modern Warfare 3. Well, apparently Infinity Ward does as well. They apparently were not happy with what Sledgehammer did. Pro, is the Tech 9 still illegal? Yes and no. So you can get a Tech 9 in America, but if you want to get a Tech 9, you have to get a semi-automatic one. There are automatic Tech 9s, but that would require a Class 3 firearms license, and it would just be much more complicated to get. Oh yeah, Bonnie and Clyde were some pretty bad people. Like, you know, the thing about that is, I've read some pretty stupid comments of, like, people saying that, like, the government murdered Bonnie and Clyde, and, like, if you look at Bonnie and Clyde's car, like, their car is shot up, like, literally hundreds of bullet holes. But the thing is, here's what I'll say, Bonnie and Clyde deserved every single bullet that was put in their car. Every single bullet. So when the government just sprayed into them, they deserved all of that, 100%. So Bonnie and Clyde are oftentimes described as this romantic couple that was just robbing people, but what people don't know is that Bonnie and Clyde had a very sadistic side to them. Bonnie and Clyde didn't rob people because they wanted to make money. They robbed people because they liked doing that. That's why they were psychos. Like, they enjoyed that. They enjoyed hurting people. They enjoyed killing people. Clyde and Bonnie both executed people. They killed hostages. They killed innocent people that were not doing them any harm. Like, a lot of people they killed in those robberies. They constantly would execute hostages. They also killed cops too. And so a lot of those cops that, you know, opened fire on Bonnie and Clyde when they saw their car, they were not taking any chances. So just think about if you're those cops and you see Bonnie and Clyde coming down. You see Bonnie and Clyde's car coming down in the field. Like, are you going to basically take a chance and basically stop them? And you know, these guys have killed multiple hostages. They have killed multiple cops that are probably your friends that you know. Are you going to take a chance, or are you going to open fire on them? So literally, I don't think those cops did anything wrong by opening fire on Bonnie and Clyde's car. I think Bonnie and Clyde had that coming, and I think they completely deserved that. They're pretty ruthless, evil people. If you want to make an argument that the government murdered somebody, you can make the argument that the government murdered John Dillinger. Because, John Dillinger, he was another bank robber, but John Dillinger wasn't really a very violent person. There really is little to no proof that John Dillinger ever killed anybody, where Bonnie and Clyde have numerous, numerous people tied to them that they killed. Where John Dillinger didn't really kill anybody. There was one bank robbery where a cop died that John Dillinger was involved in, but there really isn't proof that John Dillinger killed that cop. But John Dillinger was really the... People know him as the least, violent bank robber in history. And when John Dillinger was coming out of a movie theater, the cops actually shot him in the back. So he saw the cops at the last second, and the cops shot him in the back. And you can kind of make the argument that that was uncalled for, that was police brutality. It was kind of murder, what the police did in that situation. So if you want to say the police murdered anybody, you could make the argument they murdered John Dillinger. But to, when people say, Bonnie and Clyde were murdered, I don't think that was really murder, that you would call that, because Bonnie and Clyde were psychos, and they basically lived violent lives, and they died violently. So that's ultimately what I'll say about that, is that, if hell exists, that's exactly where Bonnie and Clyde are. They were pretty bad people. And if you want to know how psychotic Bonnie and Clyde were, there's actually a picture on Google that you can find of Bonnie holding a loaded shotgun towards Clyde, pointing it right at him. And apparently that was like a turn on for Clyde. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, apparently Clyde got turned on when like Bonnie would point like a loaded shotgun at him. So like that's how psychotic these guys were. They would like the violence, they enjoyed it. It was like a thrill for them. Like they enjoyed doing that stuff. So like Bonnie and Clyde were some pretty evil, awful, bad people. What's going on here? Well, the FBI was the ones who were the ones who, yes, they killed John Dillinger, but still it's still the police. Just deliver the target. Let's just deliver the target and get out of here, guys. What the hell's going on? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Let's see here. We watch you in Thailand, young man. I'm an American living in Thailand. I use PC only. No way will I buy a PS5 to play GTA 6. Well, GTA 6 will come out on PC also, Cerebral. Now thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate the super chat, but can I ask, like, what's the reason for living in Thailand? I'm really curious about that, because I see so many Americans live in Thailand. Is there like a reason for that? Is it like Thailand like have really low taxes or something? Like, what's the reason for that? What about Jesse James and Frank James? I actually don't know that much about them. What I do know about Jesse James is I know that Jesse James was like a former Confederate soldier, and then he was later like a bank robber. Jesse James was a pretty violent guy. I don't really know anything about Frank James. I know that Jesse James was betrayed by his gang. That I do know. Well, the 1931 St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that was murder. That's, what that was. You're like the Lisa Simpson of YouTube, the answer to a question that no one asked? What do you mean? Guys, I'm gonna take you inside the Moonshine Shack so you guys can get away from these guys. Hang on. No, I did not know that, Gunner. I'm gonna get you guys away from that right now. I went to a World War II reenactment a while back, and there was this SS unit called the LAH, and there were two stupid kids telling people that they wished the Nazis won the war and eliminated all the non-Germans. Those people should have been banned permanently from that event. What a bunch of idiots. What a bunch of idiots, my god. If you commanded the 6th Army in the Battle of Stalingrad, what would you have done differently? The thing about the Battle of Stalingrad is there was really no winning it. There was really no situation where the Germans could have won it. But what I will say is that what the Germans could have done is they could have avoided total defeat. So there was no winning Stalingrad, but they could have avoided total defeat, and they could have done that by, if they had evacuated in November, if they evacuated because there was still time, they could have pulled the entire 6th Army out of Stalingrad and saved the 6th Army. But Hitler was such a piece of crap and an idiot. Hitler was completely against the 6th Army moving. Hitler basically was using like World War I tactics in his tiny brain, where he basically thought that like, oh, if you pull out of an area, you're losing and stuff like that. And so for him, it was always you stay and fight, you hold and fight, you don't leave. And so that's how Hitler saw it. Basically, he saw, oh, if you retreat, then you're gonna it's cowardly. But if you stay, the entire army is gonna get destroyed. It's better to retreat and fight another day than get completely wiped out, staying and holding in one area. But that was Hitler refused to let Paulus evacuate when Paulus was begging him to be able to evacuate. And the crazy thing I'll say about this is Hitler had made Paulus the field marshal of Germany in January 1943. Now, by January 1943, the Germans were on the verge of collapse. They were completely out of supplies. They were running out of ammo. They had no food left. They were even starving. They were cold. And Hitler made Paulus a field marshal. Now, the reason that Hitler made Paulus a field marshal, Paulus was the commander of the German forces at Stalingrad, it wasn't because Hitler had thought he deserved it. The reason he made him field marshal was because in German history, there has never been a German field marshal that has surrendered, ever, in German history. It has never happened before that. And the German field marshals either won or they died in battle. They never surrendered, ever. And so, because of that, Hitler made Paulus field marshal so that he would either kill himself, commit suicide, or he would basically fight to the last man. And Paulus basically said, his famous words is, he said, "I have no intention of shooting myself for this Austrian corporal." That's his exact words. And he was basically referring to Hitler, because Hitler's rank in World War I was a corporal, and that's how Paulus saw him. Because Paulus was an old-school German military officer. He wasn't really like a hardcore Nazi. He was just like more of a bureaucrat, more of an old-school aristocratic German officer. And he hated how like Hitler would like interfere in like the boardroom. He hated how Hitler would interfere in like military decisions. He really did not like that. And so he didn't even see Hitler as a German. He called him an Austrian. And he saw him as just a corporal, nothing more. He didn't think that Hitler really had any right to command the army. So what Paulus ended up doing is Paulus surrendered. And there was really nothing that Paulus could have done in that situation.
Oh, you a musician?
Thank you, Dead Blood, for the super chat.
Look alive, fellers. Got us a customer.
Let me see here. Have you heard about the Bricks and Minifigs drama where they basically committed grand larceny by not returning 200,000 worth of unpaid Legos from yeah, I did hear about that. A lot of people were telling me that on the last...
Give them what they paid for.
On the last stream, a lot of people were telling me about that, Alien. Thank you for the super chat. 59-year-old retired, sold my house, 401k matured, bought a business here. Prices in Thailand are a dream. We even see many 20-plus young men working remotely, and the ones who are dateless find it easy to find a good girl here. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Cerebral. I got a question for you. Do you still have to pay taxes to America? Because I know you're living in Thailand and you have a business in Thailand, but like America is one of 2 countries in the world that taxes people based on citizenship. So even if you make money outside of America and you live outside of America, the federal government still taxes you. Do you still have to pay that? I know that you can like subtract the amount from like whatever your Thailand taxes are, but how does that work? Because I'm generally curious about that. I know there was a few of my viewers that were from the Middle East, and they were telling me that I should move to the United Arab Emirates, because the United Arab Emirates has like no income taxes, and I don't think there's even a property tax. It's one of the most tax-friendly countries in the world. And if you're like an investor, you're like a foreigner that's running a business, self-employed, I know that country is also friendly, but that wouldn't work for me because I would still have to pay income taxes to America, so that's what would suck. So that I don't know if Thailand has an income tax. I know that United Arab Emirates doesn't, but whatever Thailand charges you is probably way less than what the United States charges you. Probably way less. It was speculated that FDR made use of Al Capone's confiscated Cadillac as his own car for the Pearl Harbor attack, hence why the car is named Roosevelt in GT Online, but I don't think that that's true. No, it is true. It is. So, when Roosevelt was going to be giving his speech to Congress declaring war on Japan the day after Pearl Harbor, is a lot of the U.S. government, the Secret Service, was scared that the Japanese might try to assassinate Roosevelt before he can get to the Capitol building, and they needed something to protect him with. And the U.S. government did not have any kind of, specific car for the president at that time, but they had Al Capone's car that was still under federal government control. And Al Capone's car it had increased armor and had bulletproof windows. And so they used Al Capone's car to transport Roosevelt to give the speech to Congress at the Capitol building. So that is true, Minion Dave. That's why that old 1920s car in GTA Online is called the Roosevelt. It's a reference to, it's Al Capone's car, which is the Ford Model T, which is upgraded with bulletproof windows and armor, and it was used by FDR, President Roosevelt. But I really wish that they would have given the car bulletproof windows, because that's what it had in real life. I really wish they would have had that in GTA Online for that car. Yes, I did see Public Enemies, but that's an old movie. That's like a 20-year-old movie, or I think it was like 2008. I did see it when it came out. It was a long time ago. But Cerebral, can you tell me what kind of business do you run? I pay little taxes on my stock only. Okay. What kind of business do you run in Thailand? I'm really curious on that. About yeah, I saw Public Enemies. Jolly, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, and I heard it before, Isaiah, that income tax will be abolished, but it's why you really cannot trust any politicians. I hope that one day America can really get rid of the income tax. I really hope we can. If I was president, I would make it my life's work to abolish the federal income tax. That would be my life's work. It's so annoying because both parties support it. But yeah, if America abolished the federal income tax, just imagine the amount of investment that we would have in this country. Imagine the amount of money everybody would keep in their pockets, too. It would be great. Yeah, GTA 6 will come out on PC, but may take too long. Yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna be that long. It'll probably be like, maybe like 3 or 4 months afterwards. No, did the Patriots refer to George III as Mad King George? I mean, that's the first time I heard Mad King George, but the Patriots really didn't like the king. And also here, about Americans' relationship with the king. So, here's the thing is, when the Revolutionary War was brewing, when it was starting, most Americans were really angry at the British Parliament, but they were not angry at the king necessarily at the start of the Revolutionary War, because most Americans believed that the king saw them as equal British subjects, and they believed that that the king would intervene on their behalf. That's what a lot of Americans believe. So, like, even a lot of the founding fathers that we had, a lot of them actually believed that the king would intervene and he would help us and he would stop, the British Parliament from abusing us in America. But what ended up happening is the last straw. One of the founding fathers that did not want to negotiate with the king was Benjamin Franklin. Like, Benjamin Franklin thought that it was pointless. He didn't think that the king would listen. But like a lot of the other founding fathers, I know they believed that the king would do something, that he would help. The last attempt to negotiate with the king was the Olive Branch Petition. So the Olive Branch Petition was basically a petition signed by a lot of the American founding fathers, politicians, and what the Olive Branch Petition was, it was a petition towards King George, and it was listing the grievances that Americans had with the with British rule. And it basically what it called for is it called for taxation with representation. The Americans wanted to be basically treated the same as British, subjects in Britain. They wanted that. They wanted basically a representative government. And when that petition went to King George would not even read it. Like, he didn't even look at it. He refused to even touch it. And King George issued a statement that anybody that, goes against the parliament, goes against the monarchy, is a traitor, and I'm trying to remember the exact words he said. He said something that they're ungrateful for the protection that the monarchy has given them. It's something like that. He said the Americans are ungrateful. And at that point, when that happened, pretty much all Americans at that point were like, okay, that's it, we're done. We're not friends with the monarchy anymore. We're not going to attempt to talk to the monarchy. That's it, it's over. And the really ironic thing about that is that the British actually, when they started losing the war, when France intervened in the war, the king actually sent a team to negotiate with America. So it was only when he was getting desperate. And there was a bunch of a British delegation that met with the American Congress during the war, and basically they were trying to negotiate an end to the war. And what the delegation had basically told the Americans is that we will grant you everything that you wanted. You know, we'll grant you, you know, equal rights. You guys will be British citizens. You guys will be able to have your own representative government in America. The only two conditions is that you break off the alliance with France, and you know, you give up the war, and you accept British rule again. That was it. But the American Congress basically told them to piss off and F off, and the Americans were completely right for telling them to back off. Because even though that was all the demands they wanted, if King George would have said that at the start of the war, if he would have given them right at the start of the war, they would have accepted that, and the war would not have dragged on as it did. But at that point, the king had only requested to negotiate when he was losing the war, when it was obvious that Britain was going to go bankrupt, when they were losing the war, when they were desperate. And the Americans were basically like, we're winning this war. We've had a lot of people die for independence. We want the full package now. We want full independence. We don't want to be part of you. We don't want anything to do with you anymore. And that's what ended up happening. That's how that happened. So probably, if I was to name, like, you know, the top 10 biggest mistakes in human history, the top 10 stupidest mistakes that a leader has ever made in history, that would definitely be on that list of King George refusing to read the Olive Branch Petition. Because if he would have read that and he would have granted all of that, the entire Revolutionary War would not have happened, and America would not exist as a country. So it's probably one of the stupidest things that a king has ever done, or a leader has even ever done. So that's one of the dumbest mistakes that a leader's ever done. It's not even willing to listen to his people like that. Just such an arrogant, narcissistic tone like that. But yeah, that was it. And over time, America developed this culture of really hating monarchy. Like, Americans generally don't like monarchy. So that's where, like, a lot of that stuff came from. It came from the Revolution, specifically. Is it true that Cornwallis's capitulation in Yorktown forced Lord North to resign? Yes. So Lord North was the British Prime Minister at the time, and when he didn't find out that Cornwallis surrendered until, like, I think it was like 2 months after, because it takes time for stuff to travel across the ocean. And at that point, the British army in the south had been completely destroyed. Britain did not have the resources to launch another campaign in the south again. Cornwallis had been basically taken as a prisoner, and Cornwallis was like the biggest general captured. And when Lord North got news of that happening, he basically said, "Oh God, it's all over." That's his line. That's his exact statement. He said, "Oh God, it's all over." And when that ended up happening, the Whigs won the election, and the Whigs were they were the more moderate party that was in Britain, where the Tories were the ones in charge during the Revolution. The Whigs had basically were more sympathetic towards the Americans, and they basically were very generous, and they granted all the Americans their demands. So they granted, like, Americans independence and everything like that. They just wanted to end the war and be done with it. So that was basically what ended up happening. GTA 6 may come out on PC, but it may take too long. Well, it's gonna come out, Cerebral. Don't worry, it'll be there. My girlfriend and I bought and renovated a 4-story massage shop and a nail salon here in Pattaya, Thailand, and a small bar across the street. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. You guys are living the dream there. Then that's really cool. Yeah. I run a rental property business. My dream is to expand with more rental properties and get into that. I was thinking about getting into the rental car business also, like renting out cars to people, like buying cars and then renting them out to people. I was thinking about doing that too one day. Do you think Tarleton should have been punished? Should have punished the loyalist who? Wait, do I think Tarleton should have punished the loyalist who killed surrendered Continentals after the Battle of Waxhouse? Yes, but I think that Tarleton should have. I think that Tarleton is a war criminal. I think he's a murderer. He's a war criminal. So if anybody here has ever seen the movie The Patriot, somebody in the chat has to have seen The Patriot here. The Patriot is like one of the most iconic American movies of all time. If you remember in The Patriot, you remember Tavington? Tavington is like that psychotic British officer, the main antagonist, the cavalry guy who he kills 2 of Mel Gibson's sons in the movie. That is that guy Tabington was based on Tarleton, who was a British cavalry officer in the Revolutionary War, and Tarleton in real life was a war criminal. So there isn't proof that he burned down a church like you saw in The Patriot, but he did commit war crimes. So Tarleton and his men were known for looting homes in Southern Campaign. Like, they would break into American homes, they would loot them, they would steal their everything from their houses. They would also burn down their houses. Tarleton was known for burning down towns, so they would loot towns, and if Tarleton suspected that the town was not pro-British, he would burn the entire town down. So there wasn't, like, he never, like, locked people in, like, a building and, like, burned it down like you saw in the church, but he did burn towns down. That did very much happen, and a lot of people hated him. The worst war crime that he committed was it was called Tarleton's Quarter. That was the name of the what the Americans referred to it as the war crime. But the battle that it happened, I forget the name of the battle. Somebody might know the name of the battle where it happened. But basically, it was like a battle where his cavalry forces had overrun the American Patriot forces, and the Americans had surrendered to him. And even after the Americans surrendered, the British cavalry just cut them down, just really charged into them, slashed them, just ran them all down, killed them after they surrendered. That was clearly a war crime. It was murder, what it was. And Tarleton had claimed, oh, I didn't order that. I was trapped under a horse at the time. I couldn't see what was going on. I was wounded, and a bunch of this other stuff. But if Tarleton was actually serious about not being responsible for that, he would have punished everybody that was involved. But he never punished anybody who was involved. He never punished anybody that executed any of the prisoners. That makes him just as guilty as the people that were involved in that. And during the Battle of Yorktown, he was actually captured. He was captured by George Washington. He was the only British officer that was not invited to dine with George Washington, and he was actually left in a cell at the time, which was a massive humiliation for him. Now, in European tradition at that time, is if you captured an enemy general, the two generals would then have dinner together. That was like a tradition that they had in European warfare. So, like, if there was a battle and, like, a general captured another general and his officers, he would then invite that captured general and his officers to dinner. That's basically, it was like a weird, I know it sounds weird having dinner with the enemy, but that was like a European tradition where, you would have the surrendering general and his officers would have, dinner with the victorious general. And George Washington, after the Battle of Yorktown, had dinner with Cornwallis and General O'Hara, and he had dinner with a lot of the other British officers, but he did not invite Tarleton, even though Tarleton was a prisoner there. And the reason he didn't invite Tarleton was because George Washington had blamed Tarleton for the murder of those American prisoners. He knew about that. George Washington was very well aware of what Tarleton had done. He knew about that. So for Tarleton, that was a massive humiliation. It was a massive humiliation to be left in a cell while the other officers got to eat with George Washington. So George Washington had a good reason to do that. Now, you're probably wondering, if this guy was like a war criminal, why didn't George Washington just hang him? Well, George Washington wanted to hang Tarleton. He did. But the reason that George Washington couldn't hang Tarleton is because Tarleton was connected to a very powerful aristocratic family in Britain, and there were still American prisoners that were in British captivity. And George Washington needed him alive to negotiate the release of those American prisoners. So if George Washington would have killed Tarleton and hanged him there, it would have, all of the American prisoners that were in British captivity would have been at risk of being killed. So, like, that's why George Washington didn't kill him. I know it sucks that he had to let a war criminal go, but he did that ultimately just so that he could get the other American prisoners released, because more people would have died if he had him executed. So that's ultimately what it was about. He didn't like that he had to release him eventually after the war, but he really had no choice because the British had so many Americans that were still in captivity, and that was like to negotiate their release. It was to trade him. It was a trade, basically. Let me see here. Let me see. I missed a bunch of comments. King George wanted the Americans to make him a chocolate pudding at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they rightfully told him that they didn't want to. Yeah, like that could actually be turned into a meme with the taxes that the Americans paid. Like, I can imagine, like, you could put, like, George Washington's face on stew and then Angelic host King George's face. Like, I can imagine a meme being made out of that. Thank you, Mario, for the super chat. Can you say hi to my son, please? Oh, hello, Mr. Kenfin. Hello to your son, too. Tarleton, yes, that was him. Tanker Banastri Tarleton. I always say his first name wrong, but Tarleton is, yeah, Tarleton was a war criminal. Just submitted a quote to get my windows tinted. Who thinks I should wait to get an appointment after June 9th or June 23rd? Next 2 paydays. Well, if... see whatever is the cheaper option. Whatever the cheaper option is, you can go with that. But just make sure that it's legal in where you live, Blinded Eagle, because there might be one county where tinted windows might be legal, and another county tinted windows might be illegal. So I would highly suggest that you you look that up because that's what a lot of people in New York did that, where they had tinted windows and they didn't realize that was illegal and they got fined for that and pulled over. So that's at least where I'm from, but I don't know what your state, Indiana, I don't know what that's like with the windows. Well, do you have Sunday off though, Shiny Knight? I don't know much about him, Gunner. How much harder is doing an apartment or a condo for rental properties than a single or a duplex? Here's what I will tell you. So in my in my experience, right? I would never own a duplex ever in my experience. The only way I would ever own a duplex, the only way I would ever own one is if I lived in one unit and then I rented out to the other one to somebody else. The reason that I would never own a duplex, when I rent properties, I rent single family homes. That's what I rent. I would not want to rent a duplex. The reason I wouldn't want to rent a duplex is because if you are renting a duplex, what's going to happen is you are going to have two tenants living right next to each other. And so you're going to have two of your, customers, basically, because your tenants are your customers, technically, living right next to each other. The reason that could be bad is because if those guys have some kind of drama, if something bad happens between those guys, because those guys are living right next to each other, you as the landlord are going to have to deal with that. And I would not want to deal with their drama. I would not want to deal with that. I'm not a therapist. I'm a landlord. So I would not want to deal with that stuff. So basically, imagine like on a Friday night, one of your tenants would just text you, "Hey, the other guy is playing loud music. Do something about it." And then the other guy would like text you like the week after that, saying like, "Oh, his dog, went into my yard and like bit my kid or something like that. You deal with it right now." That's why I would not want to deal with something like that, because like they're literally they're both right next to each other, and if there's some kind of incident, you have to deal with that. And so I don't want that headache personally. Like I grew up in a rental property. My parents owned this small apartment building in Queens. And when I grew up in that, I saw people that live right next to each other, and I saw some really bad drama. Like, I saw neighbors having drama with each other, and so I don't want crap like that happening. So, like, I would not want to deal with that. So when I'm renting out properties, I'm renting out single-family homes, and there's a fence between the other property. Like, there's another house next to them, but there's, like, a fence. They're separated. They're not, like, right next door to each other. So that's basically my view on it. I hope I answered your question on duplexes. When it comes to an apartment or a condo, I would be willing to rent them out. I would be willing to. But a duplex, I probably wouldn't, because a duplex, it would just be like, two tenants that are both renting to you right next to each other. Oh, and I'll answer your question right now, Deadblood. Why did Hitler not have Kaiser Wilhelm killed? Okay, so, about that, to answer that question. Hitler wanted to have Kaiser Wilhelm killed. There's no doubt about that. He wanted to, but he couldn't. The reason that Hitler couldn't have Kaiser Wilhelm killed is because Hitler acted like he was Kaiser Wilhelm's successor. That is basically what he had always said. He's like, I am the successor to the monarchy. That was what Hitler would always tell his people. And there were still a lot of old people, like old-fashioned people in Germany, that still like the monarchy and still like the Kaiser. If Hitler had killed the Kaiser, he would have alienated a lot of Germans. And so even though Hitler hated the Kaiser himself, he really couldn't kill the Kaiser because that would hurt him politically so badly. He would get so many of his people angry. It might even start revolts in Germany too. So that's why Hitler did not kill Kaiser Wilhelm. But Kaiser Wilhelm hated Hitler. He despised Hitler. Now look, the thing about Kaiser Wilhelm, Kaiser Wilhelm and Hitler are a perfect example of the difference between bad and evil. There's a difference between them. Was Kaiser Wilhelm a good person? No, he was not a good person. You could kind of make the argument he was a bad person. But was he evil? Definitely not. Was Hitler an evil person? 100%. So, like, there's a difference between, like, bad and evil, and, like, the comparison between Wilhelm and Hitler are, like, the perfect examples of the difference between a bad leader and an evil leader. The reason that Wilhelm hated Hitler so much was because when Hitler did the Kristallnacht, which what Kristallnacht basically was. It was when the Nazis were going. It was in the mid 1930s when the Nazis were basically going door to door, dragging Jewish people out of their homes, beating them to death, burning down Jewish businesses, burning down Jewish synagogues. It was just like mob violence in the street. It was ridiculous, and the German police were doing nothing about it. It's like hordes of Nazi supporters just dragging Jewish people in the streets, just beating them to death in the middle of the street. It was really ugly, really bad. And when that had happened, Wilhelm was so disgusted by that, and he had actually made a public statement, and he said, "For the first time in my life, I am ashamed to be German." That's really what his exact statement was on that. Now, a lot of people say that Wilhelm was an anti-Semite. Now, did Wilhelm hate Jewish people? Was he racist against Jews? Yes. Wilhelm did not like Jewish people. Yes, that is true. He was racist against Jews. But there's a difference between being a racist and being a psychotic genocidal maniac. There's a difference between that. And Wilhelm was the racist, where Hitler was the psychotic genocidal maniac. So that was the difference between them. So Wilhelm, yes, he was racist against Jews, but Wilhelm would never have supported something like the Holocaust. Wouldn't have supported, rounding Jewish people up and beating them to death in the middle of the street. He would never support something like that. So while he didn't like Jewish people, he didn't support, violence against people like that. That wasn't, something that he would support. He would back. When Wilhelm died, though, he left a will. And in his will, he specifically said that he does not want to be buried in Germany until the monarchy is restored. And for Hitler, that was a massive humiliation. Like when that will was made public, that was a humiliating thing for Hitler. Like Hitler was so enraged by that, he was so humiliated by that. So even when Wilhelm died, he got his revenge on Hitler. He publicly humiliated Hitler after he had died. So for Hitler, that was like just so humiliating. It made him so angry when that. Let me see here. I found out Melfi's actress was in the film The Warriors. Oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, what's up, Shiny Knight? What's wrong? Oh, it was 38. Okay, so I got it a little wrong there. I might have been thinking of the other purge that they did. Because there was the Nazis did a purge of their own party also in the mid-30s. They did that. I missed your super chat. Let me see. Jesus, sorry. Should Rockstar be blamed for not confronting or stopping the GTA 6 clickbait videos from social media? Maybe to a degree, but largely it's not their fault. Like, the thing is Rockstar could make a statement tomorrow on Twitter, and they could say that any YouTuber who is claiming to have, insider information is lying. And if Rockstar made that statement, it wouldn't stop those YouTubers. The YouTubers would still be posting their false leaks. They would still be posting the GTA 6 clickbait. That would not end. Rockstar, what Rockstar could have done is Rockstar could have like copyright struck a lot of the clickbait videos. Like whenever people post those stupid leaks that are false, Rockstar could like have those videos taken down because it's technically talking about them. So technically they would have grounds for getting those videos taken down. But the reason that Rockstar isn't going to do that is because one, it would cause a lot of drama by getting these YouTubers' videos taken down, and two, people would start thinking that the leaks are real if Rockstar starts taking down the fake leaks. The only time a leak might be real is if Rockstar actually takes action against it. If Rockstar takes action against a leak, that's probably real. It's probably true. But if they're not, it's most likely false. Thank you, Jesus, for the super chat, or Jay. I had a CCE video for you. Cop pulls over woman for holding phone in right hand, which she does not have. I actually saw that video earlier. I saw the video from Ugo Lord. I don't know if you saw it from him. He's the lawyer guy. He's that guy. He's the guy who always does those videos like lawyer reacts. That. That's always the meme in his video. Like their lawyer reacts. But he did a video on this woman who recently got pulled over by a cop. And the cop said to her that I saw you with your phone in your right hand, and she pulls out her hand. She doesn't have a right hand. She only has a left hand. And yes, in a lot of states, you can drive with only one hand. So even if you don't have a hand, you still can drive in a lot of states. But she, that was the cop basically lied about that. It was like a case that went viral, and the judge threw out the charges. He dropped the case because it was stupid. How you heard about the Mexican scandal that's been going on for a while about the Sinaloa governor? What are your thoughts on that? Is that the one where the governor was in league with the cartels and selling drugs, or am I thinking of something else? Because I remember there was like a Mexican politician that the United States accused of being involved with the drug trade, and then afterwards the politician resigned. Is that the one that I'm thinking of? I think that that's mostly propaganda, Zeke, because the Nazis had claimed that they wanted to they wanted to move Jewish people out of Europe. Like, I think they claimed it was like Madagascar. Like, Madagascar is one of the destinations, or the other one was Palestine. But that was like early on in their reign. I think it was mostly they used that as propaganda. They pretty much were planning mass murder from the start. The Holocaust was started in the what was the guy's name? I'm trying to think of that evil Nazi's name. Damn, the guy who got blown up by the grenade. Damn, how do I not know this right now? I should know this. This is easy history. I'm just forgetting the guy's name. The Nazi who died in Czechoslovakia, the guy who got blown up. Hang on. I'm thinking about this here. Heydrich was his name. Yes, Heydrich. How could I forget Heydrich's names? It was just losing my track of thought right now. So Heydrich, wasn't he Czechoslovakian? No, Heydrich was a German. Or I think was he born in Austria? Or I think Heydrich was, I'm pretty sure, was a German. Let me see where he was.